am here to answer these interview questions. So, the first question is, have you ever given feedback on someone else's design before? Yes, I have given feedback on someone else's designs, particularly in this Career Foundry course. It was extremely helpful to see other people's designs and better understand where they are coming from and what they have chosen within their design process and how it differs from my own. And then additionally, have you received feedback on your own design? And yes, I also have received feedback on my own design. I did a peer review of my main application Health Hub. And through that process, I had about 5 people give me feedback blindly without any context as to what my app did. And that was extremely helpful because it created less bias compared to what could be created with primarily interviewing people in my own circles, where people may be a little bit more hesitant to give feedback. And so I highly recommend any designer to try to request for feedback on their own designs by any other peer in the field, because that can be extremely helpful in understanding how to better improve your design, make it more user friendly, and do it in the least biased way possible. Now, the second question is, how would your teammates describe you professionally? My teammates would probably describe me professionally in a way of being extremely driven, as well as collaborative within a team setting. I think that those two factors are probably my two strongest aspects about myself while I'm working on a team, because I will push a project through to the very end, but also make sure that I'm doing it in a collaborative way with my teammates so that everyone is on the same page, everyone is understanding exactly what is needed for the task at hand, and also do this in the scope that we are trying to accomplish, typically in a time constraint, which I am very good at helping to drive forward. The next question says, tell me about a difficult project where you overcame a challenge. The first thing that comes to mind is at my previous job, I worked for a company that utilized a SQL like tool that was internal and had a coding language specific to the company. So you did not know it, you could not know it if you didn't work within this company. Now, with this, I had to do lots of data analysis with this particular SQL like tool. And using this as it was a mainframe, there were so many different words and prompts that were difficult for me to understand and to memorize and to use, just because I had not come from an area where I had ever interacted with such a system. And in order to overcome this challenge, I made sure that I watched endless amounts of educational e-videos that the company provided to better understand and teach myself how to utilize this tool. I did this during not only my working hours when it was recommended by my boss to do it, but also during my lunch hours, because I was so adamant on trying to understand this tool and platform as quickly as possible, in a way that I best understood it. And in order to overcome this challenge of not understanding how to perform the tasks, I was able to teach myself in so many different ways, both through e-learning videos as well as shadowing other people. And through my persistence and my constant need or ability, if you will, to learn, I was able to overcome the challenge that was so frustrating of not knowing this essentially separate language. And I was able to push through having mentors as well as resources that I was able to find on my own, in order to better understand and utilize this tool to analyze data. And the last question is actually a question for you. So, as a person who has worked with this company, I'm curious what you would say success looks like for this particular user experience position within, let's say, 6 months or so of the job. I am excited to hear your answer and I really appreciate you taking the time to interview.